Ford Mustang, the American legend that keeps on galloping. Ah, the Ford Mustang. Just saying the name feels like strapping oneself to an epic quest for freedom, the open road, and a moderate amount of tire smoke. This is not merely a car. It's an icon, a visceral, thunderous embodiment of Americana. It's inseparably linked with open highways, drive-in diners, and rock and roll. The Mustang was born in 1964 amidst much fanfare and an insatiable appetite for speed. This was America's answer to the European sports car, but with a twist. It was accessible, affordable, and gloriously over the top. Designed by the ingenious Lee Iacocca, Ford's marketing team managed to create a fever-pitch excitement by launching the Mustang at the New York World's Fair. The result? Over 22,000 orders on the first day alone, solidifying the Mustang's status as a cultural juggernaut. Let's talk about the design. The early Mustangs had curves that would make Marilyn Monroe look like a telephone pole. Those iconic taillights, the Galloping horse emblem, and an interior that felt like a lounge bar, all ingredients in a recipe for stardom. And then there's the engine, that fire-breathing V8 which emits a bellow so euphorically savage it could be used to wake the dead. The Mustang GT500, for instance, boasts a 5.2-liter supercharged V8 that churns out 760 horsepower. This is a car that feels like it was built by someone who moonlights as a rocket scientist. Sliding into the driver's seat, you're met with a sensory overload. The gaugecluster, the leather seats, the slightly questionable plastic, it's a cacophony of delight. Fire up the engine and you're greeted with a symphony of noise. A raucous, delightful growl that feels like all of Detroit is cheering just for you. Some might call it unrefined. I call it soul. Of course, the Mustang isn't perfect. Its handling, for a long time, could be best described as vague. Corners are more a loose suggestion than a command. The interior materials sometimes appear to be sourced from the most budget-friendly suppliers in all of Mexico. But none of that truly matters because the Mustang isn't about precision. It's about passion. It's about that absurd feeling of freedom as you floor the throttle, making every drive feel like a scene from Bullitt. Speaking of Bullitt, Steve McQueen's Mustang chase scene is still hailed as one of the greatest car chases ever filmed. That roaring, bellowing D390, tearing through the streets of San Francisco, wheels screeching, body rolling, and that soundtrack of pure V8 exhaust note. It became the stuff of legend, firmly cementing the Mustang's place in Hollywood royalty. Over the years, the Mustang has gone through numerous iterations, some better forgotten, others to be remembered with unwavering nostalgia. The Mustang II, introduced in the mid-70s, was essentially a Pinto in a party dress. It was lighter and more fuel-efficient but lacked the raw vigor of its predecessors. Fortunately, the Mustang eventually found its way back to its musclebound roots, as if remembering its own identity after a midlife crisis. In today's world, the Mustang has morphed into a global beast, with independent rear suspension and track-ready versions, like the Shelby G500. Purists might scoff at the technological advancements, but this modern Mustang still carries the torch lit by that very first model back in 1964. To summarize, the Ford Mustang is more than just a car. It's a legend that continues to mesmerize, infuriate, and exhilarate in equal measure. It refuses to grow old quietly. It still roars, still thrills, and still embodies that raw spirit of rebellion. As long as there are roads to conquer and enthusiasts who care more about the journey than the destinations, the Mustang will continue to gallop ahead. Love this automotive legend? Then hit that like button and subscribe to Atoicons for more adrenaline-pumping stories. Share your Mustang moments in the comments. We want to hear from you.